All right. So this should be back. Can you guys hear me okay? Yo,
Are we live?
we are live. Can you hear
Oh,
me all right?
yeah, this is Restream. Oh, I'm familiar with this. This is good. Okay.
Yeah, I had to switch back. Yeah, and the echo's gone on my side.
Okay. Oh, I can see the box even better now. Yeah, I can see the skull in a lot better detail now. Fantastic. That was a fantastic design. Oh, and I can see the comments. Hey, everyone. Look at this. I feel like I'm actually co-hosting the show now. Oh, this is great. Okay, cool. Hey, all right. Very good. No echo. Thank you, David. Raina, David, Dawn. Yay.
Well, we tried.
Yeah, thanks for and Rob, again, I thank you so much for doing this, because as hard as this is in troubleshooting, as an audio engineer, I don't know so much about video production, but I know that you have a full multimedia center there, and it's a lot of work and you're running multiple channels of audio, and
It's a pain in my ass.
yeah,
Let's just put it that way.
And I get to just log on and pick on you, so it's my job is super easy, and I'm totally relaxed. But thank you for doing all that work so I can relax. I appreciate that.
No worries.
That's cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is not easy. Trying to do a show, and trying to do a live stream.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the butt. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes. If you guys just saw my setup, it's crazy.
I've seen it in person, and it's a full-fledged media center. I mean, you no longer have a garage. I mean, it's just a full-blown media center and studio.
Yeah. So
very, very good. This works very well. Victoria, hi, how are you? Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Victoria.
Oh, that's great. Happy birthday. Justin, how are you? Oh, wow. This is great. I feel like the show just started. I feel like I'm part of the show now. That's awesome. Brianna, hi, how are you? Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out with us. Very cool. Justin says just a joke. Oh my gosh. Well, to go back to what you were saying, Rob, prior to this, I know we were talking about that one of the goals of our show is to talk about the pros and cons of ghost boxes, radio-based ITC.
Correct.
I'm looking at my notes, and obviously we had some troubleshooting. I'm hoping we might be able to postpone that for one more week, because I think we can organize a really good show around it. And there's a lot of information, and it might be nice to show some samples of what different boxes sound like. Or I'm still trying to organize that, and I don't know in the amount of time we have if that's something that we can cover.
No, I mean, yeah, that's fine.
It might be nice to package that in one show. So if someone wants to go back and kind of look at the history of ghost boxes and the different types of sweeps, the different type, analog versus digital, different things like this, that might be good to package that in one show, if that is okay with you.
No, I mean, that would totally be fine. Yeah, there's only trying to use like different streaming software, there's pros and cons to everything. Now with what I'm using now, it's going to be a pain. Without doing a screen share, I'm going to have to do some audio engineering over here, some hardware engineering over here. I'm going to have to, because I'm running everything off of a mixing board, so I might need a secondary. God, I'm gonna have to rewire a bunch of stuff. And that's why I was trying to get away from that. The way that I had everything set up, it was working pretty good. But yeah, I'll have to rework some things. I'm gonna have to create some new screens if I just stick with this, which is doable. I mean, actually, for me, it's a lot easier. I just don't have the touch button control, so I'm going to have to jump around to different screens, which is fine. The other way, I was just trying to get down to just one button control, so I don't have to move around the mouse and kind of look around the screen and stuff. I'm just trying to make it all automated, but enough tech talk about streaming. I mean, I could give a full class on streaming.
Yeah. And you know what, maybe that would help down the road. Maybe some other people are wanting to stream either something in paranormal or another topic, and you will have this worked out to a science. You could probably teach a class on something like this.
Yeah. I mean, it's no big deal.
Right. Yeah.
Just, OBS is a pain in the butt.
Hey, Emma, how are you? Sandy, Alicia. Who else have we said hi to? Okay, they're coming in. Okay, I see them. There we go.
Yeah, or we can also talk to dead animals too. To animals that passed.
Through your new device?
Yeah, through my new device. I'll just I'm gonna switch it up. We'll put we'll remove the penny and put the cat ball or something on its forehead, and
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
We'll refocus.
It's like swapping out a memory card.
That's right.
That's it. Rebecca, hi, how are you? So what can we do in our remaining time? Because I will want to package our ghost box history / different type of radios, circuits, sweep boards. Let's package that for next time. What can we talk about? There's one thing I did notice. Do you want me to go ahead and steer the ship here?
You okay with what?
Can I take a topic and run with it? I wanted to talk about breakthrough in fragmentative communication. It's one thing that I hear through your box and a lot of the ghost boxes we use. And it's a way to apply terms to what we're hearing. Should I address that, or should we go back to talking about our technical difficulties? You can see I'm not a popular co-host on this show. Rob's like,
no. I'm reading comments and trying to figure out what people are saying. No, yeah, I mean,
don't have to. It's
no. I think it'd be a good segue. So no, go for it.
Okay. So essentially, one of my good friends has a lot of popular theory out today, and he is an audio engineer, and he's broken down what we're hearing through radio-based ITC into basically 2 categories. And I really like the way, his name is Tim Woolworth. He started itcvoices.org, Paranormal Study, and he's also working in the new Metascience Foundation with a few of his friends. What he has applied to terminology here is 2 ways of interpreting the communication that's coming in. It's labeled as either breakthrough communication or fragmentative communication. And when we listen to Rob's sessions or other sessions, that we can identify very easily 1 of 2 types of communication. These two categories break down further, but we're going to just address the 2 main definitions. When talking about breakthrough communication, we're essentially talking about communication that cuts through over and above any of the radio noise we hear or any of the broadcast voices we hear. In other words, it's something that is so abundantly clear and loud that everything else washes away beside it, and you hear that come through. And we've heard that with names come through. When we hear Ed, we hear the name Ed come through quite a bit. I would consider that breakthrough communication. You just hear the name, it pops at you, it's got a high decibel level, and it cuts right through. The next category, which is the most interesting in my opinion, is what Tim calls fragmentative communication. This is the combination of broadcast voices or sounds that are coming through the radio-based ITC or the ghost box session that combines a multitude or a combination of voices or sounds to formulate a word. And I think we've heard this, and depending on what radio you use, you've probably heard a word that comes in that sounds like it's coming in at 3 different notes. Maybe the word or words are being sung. They sound like someone's singing the communication to you. Or you may hear a word that starts off very low like this and winds up very high like this. But you can hear when the syllables are separated phonetically, you can hear there's a breaking point when those sounds change. And any combination of broadcast voices or sounds coming through, we consider fragmentative communication, literally using fragments of the sound to create the communication. So we have breakthrough, which just cuts through out loud and above everything else. And we have fragmentative, which uses what's being provided through the radio to combine sounds and phonetical sounds, especially, to create the communication. And I wanted to just address that because I like the way he's categorized it. No one else has really applied theory to what we're hearing, or to at least say, you know, this is coming through in this way, or this is coming through in this way. And Rob, in your sessions on Saturday, when I've tuned in, I've heard plenty of examples of breakthrough communication and also fragmentative, where you hear a sentence or a group of words that apply several words to it, essentially, and it's been manipulated. Your boxes are great at both. And obviously, anyone who's experienced radio-based ITC is probably going, oh yeah, you know, I've had breakthrough communication, or I've heard words come through that have been formed through a combination of sounds or phonetical sounds through the radio.
No, exactly. Now, I've experienced both, and also it's kind of weird because not only have I heard, I've also heard basically like EVPs that were being generated from the audio, from the radio audio, which is really weird. And also, in turn, there was disembodied voices
Yes.
coming through that weren't coming from the radio.
Right.
And that's just mind-blowing. And people need to, and that's why you always want to record your sessions. With us doing the live stream, they are being recorded, so we don't have to sit there, hit record and then let the recorder run, because the recorder wouldn't pick anything up anyway, because the radio is going through the line in through the soundboard and then out to the internet. So the only way that a recorder would work is to record what's coming through your computer speakers or something like that. But there's no need, because if you want to rewatch this and you weren't recording it, you can go back and watch the recording again. And once I did that, and because I've listened back to a few, it's just a lot, because I mean, I've do this twice a week. So for me to go back and listen to another session or another live stream, which is going to be, you know, listening to it for another 4 hours, it's just really, it's hard to do. Now, there's been times when somebody has thrown something out in the comments, so I'll know kind of like, okay, this was 2 hours and 25 minutes into the show. I'll fast, it's time stamped. I'll jot it down, and then I'll go and then listen to like maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And then I was like, holy crap, they were right. And because some people have said that, like, during the broadcast, my voice changes, or it's not my voice coming through when I'm not even talking.
Right. That someone mentioned that in the comments. Karen mentioned that. We also hear your voice come through occasionally too. Yeah, there's a theory that they'll either mimic your voice, or that we're projecting our own voice through the ghost box with our own abilities in our brain and our consciousness. So there's several theories about that. Sorry, Rob, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
But it's along what you were saying. Karen was saying that.
Yeah.
And it goes farther. I mean, literally 2 minutes of audio, or 5 minutes, a 5-minute ghost box session could literally take you all weekend if you really dissect and categorize all the breakthrough communication, the fragmentative. And remember, you have those two categories at multiple decibel levels. There's communication at lower decibel levels that's being basically sandwiched or covered up by the class A or high decibel level communication coming through. Depending on the ghost box, a lot of tuned radio frequency chips like the mini box, Andrew Openlander's Radio Spectre, they have communication coming in sandwiched together at multiple decibel levels. So you could literally be dissecting it all weekend and pulling out communication. But Rob, I really love your box because it focuses and gives a perfect example of strong breakthrough and fragmentative. And I've had some really good success too with the Holt Paranormal, their box as well. is very good at pulling out breakthrough and fragmentative communication.
Well, I mean, and it's funny because, and I'm not bragging about anything. I
No,
mean,
he's not bragging.
I would not be doing this if it wasn't for Josh. Let's just put it there.
Dude.
Because I worked on a new circuit, and
Thanks,
and basically my circuit was I was able to get the same boards that are used in the SB7s. And so I took the SB7 board and broke it down and added my own type of sweep. When I first started adjusting the sweep on the board that I got, because I ordered a handful of them because I knew I was going to be experimenting. And when you start adding different a signal, when you start adding signal generators to things and you start messing with the voltages and things like that, and you're trying to solder on different chips or whatever, there's a chance you're going to blow something, and
Yes.
it happens.
Yeah,
It
very good
happens.
chance. Yeah, very good chance.
So when I first got this sweep working, because you have to understand there's a lot of things that go behind um behind building a ghost box. And especially now what I'm trying to do, because there's special software, there's special firmware, things like that, like in the SB7, because it's gone through so many different versions. So you'll see different versions of the SB7. The latest one is like the one that I have on my desk. That's the SB7 T.
It's the newest one.
It's the newest one. But when you start messing with that, and when I first added my sweep circuit to it, it sounded exactly like the SB7, and I even shared it with you.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay. So I said, there it is. So then I started playing around with the tuning, playing around with different things, and I started trying to detune it. So it went from having a bunch of static where it sounded just like an SB7 to zero static. Now, for those of you that have heard my ghost boxes, I can do a really quick sample.
Hold on. Definitely. Yeah. Raina, I saw that you asked a question. It says, what is it called when a sentence comes through, but it's cut up, but other voices make up the sentence? I would classify that as fragmentative communication. I don't know of a situation where breakthrough communication has resulted because of fragmented. I guess there's situations where they're combined if they're coming in multi-layered at different decibel levels. But I would consider that fragmentative because if the sentence is cut up, it's still using multiple samples at different times to combine to form a word or phrase. I would consider that fragmentative. Oh, there you go. You have it on.
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
What's that sound? It sounds like sandpaper.
All right, so I'm just letting it scan. It's going to take a minute.
Oh, it's finding the stations.
So yeah, basically the way that I have it set up is it's going to scan the local area, and then it'll start sweeping.
Okay, perfect.
So
yeah, that'll kick on in just a second. But yeah, so there are different ways to dissect the communication, but a lot of the time, like Rob said, playback is so important because we really only hear 1 to 5% at a live session. We hear the high decibel, usually breakthrough communication and fragmentative, but obviously it's a little easier to hear breakthrough. Oh, here we go. That sounds good. That's loud.
Okay. So we're going to do
SB7 first.
This is what my box originally sounded like. Let me turn it up. can't even hear it.
David,
Can you
there
hear
are
it okay?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can hear it okay.
Not even loud. So can you hear that okay over the...
Sounds
Can you hear it?
I can hear it, yeah.
You know what? Hold on.
To answer your question, David, there are boxes where we get breakthrough communication in whole sentences. And a lot of the Holt Paranormal, they have some boxes that do that. I know actually a lot of people, like Chicago Spirit Wave, Supernatural Inc., a lot of the mini boxes would get whole sentence breakthrough communication. Some Frank boxes would. There are radios that will do that. And those are some of the most impressive radios.
Okay, so here we go. So that's an SP7.
Yeah, that's good for me. Need to hear that again. No, I started with an SP7. They're great radios. They really are. They're very effective. Just maybe as I'm getting older, I just can't stand the added static. I don't know. Yeah, Dawn, ouch. Exactly.
So that was an SP7. Now here's my box.
Ooh. You're coming in a little high.
That's at a really slow sweep.
It's clipping.
Is it? All right. Anyway, that's good enough.
Get the idea. I mean, yeah, if you've listened to Rob's Saturday show, one of the reasons why you can go 4 hours and there's less ear fatigue is because Rob's design, even if you started with the SB7 board, you found a way to essentially take the static out, not of essentially the radio, because we need that white noise, we need that static, but the output, what's coming to us, or timed, you mentioned signal generator, what's coming to us, we don't hear the static in between the sweep. So that's really good, especially if you're considering ear fatigue or you're doing long live sessions like you're doing on Saturday. I couldn't imagine using the SB7. Good radio, but I couldn't imagine using that for 4 hours. I just can't.
No, I mean, I could do it for 5 minutes.
Right.
If that.
A good 5-minute session with the SB7 in and out. Yeah. I think that's what led people to go the route. We're gonna talk about this next week, different ghost boxes and or signal flows or signal paths like a guitar amplifier or effects pedals. But I think that's why some people went that route, is because some of these radios were so noisy. There was that desire to suppress that noise and, add other effects. But we'll find out next week when we talk about this, that there's a good way to do it and there's a shortcut way. And we're going to kind of talk about the benefits and pros and cons of different types of setups. And the SB7 is one of those radios that's been used in almost any type of imaginable setup. And I would say, Rob, it's probably the most sold ghost box of all time, right? The SB7.
I would say so.
I mean, Radio Shack hacks that people purchased weren't. I mean, I don't know if there's a way to really keep a track of that, but a dedicated built ghost box, I don't think anything else is sold as well as the SB7, or has been available, was widely available.
No, and now, I mean, would I use an SB7 ever? No. But that's me. I just don't. I've never liked the SB7. The responses are too fragmented. I've never gotten any good responses using SB7, unless you go at a really slow sweep. But even then, you're kind of opening it up to, I guess, just really questionable ITC work because it's going through such a slow sweep. But anyway.
Yeah, the SB7 I think is most effective at breakthrough communication, where you hear a word come through very loudly and clearly in between the roll off of the radio wave that's coming through, or the broadcast voice. I don't know, in my experience, I've had a lot of fragmentative communication or multiple voices within the step sweep come in and form a full sentence with multiple words. I can't recall that with the SB7, but it definitely works, and we definitely get good breakthrough communication through it. But yeah, ear fatigue is a very big factor with the SB7 and SB11, and that you have to weigh that. If you're a paranormal investigator or ITC researcher, it's a radio, and we know that it will work and produce communication, but you have to decide how you're going to research and what your tolerability is, really. Because for me, the SB7 is a 5-minute session, but I can sit through one of your session, Rob, one of your sessions on Saturday. I could sit there for 4 hours and I don't have ear fatigue, which is nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, and like I said, I mean, when I first started doing my show on Saturday, I didn't know what we were going to even do. I mean, it was just like,
you said that out loud, right? You know that.
Yeah, no, I mean, because no, it was like, okay, we're going to try some experiments, right? And it was after the very first show, people started wanting to communicate with loved ones, which I totally get it. And when people were asking things like that, is my aunt, Vera here with us, or, does anybody have any messages for me, or, and things like that. I was real hesitant, just because that's not what I figured that what I would be able to do, or anything like that. So I just said, you know what, let's just try it. I don't care. This is going to be all for experimental purposes anyway. And then we're getting like breakthrough communication, and people were getting responses from their loved ones. And it was like, oh my God, this is like amazing. And I was just baffled on what was happening. It was crazy. Yeah. So then that's just basically, we just went with that on Saturday's show. And then now it's like, for this show, it's a little bit different. We talk about ITC, we talk about the paranormal, we talk about, doing real ghost box sessions.
My personal life came up in the last show, so we talk about everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, we do joke around. Yes, we parody, what other people do, things like that.
Well, we parody them because they also put our research community in an awkward situation. So it's just, just a shot across the bow. It's no big deal.
Yeah. And then for what people are now doing with
yeah. Well, I think
oh my God, it's like it's so fun. People are communicating with animals, and their responses are coming through in English. Right. Come on. So your dog passes and crosses Rainbow Bridge and now can speak in full sentences,
but in like an elderly male voice, like 65, 70, you know what I mean? Like very, like, well, weird, Fluffy. You sound old and angry. Like, okay, I guess that's what they chose to sound like coming through the bot. I mean, I don't know. We joke, but there's unfortunately we joke because it has put our research community in a very tough spot, because it's set the real research back. And of course, when anything is faked, it's unfortunately everyone is kind of thrown into one category. And so I think a purpose of the show and going forward is we're going to hopefully draw that line in the sand, or help or join in whoever else in the research community is trying to draw that line in the sand. It may already be obvious, but you can't stop people from faking it, but we can definitely say this is where we're at. And, one side is giving all allowances possible, entertainment, and another side is trying to push the research forward. And I think we'll do that, and we'll have a good time doing it. And yeah. Hey, Steve, Mr. Poe. I'm catching up on some comments really quick.
What's up, Steve? Holt tag?
Yeah, if there's anyone in the chat, you probably have already heard of Steve Holt and Katie Holt, but if you haven't, you need to know who they are. Steve is an early pioneer of modern ITC. When I say modern ITC, the year 2000 and up, going forward. I just kind of like to use the year 2000 as kind of a little breaking point. But Steve has a lot of expert knowledge in sweep circuits, radios. He knows more than I do. He actually should be sitting here, but his time is better spent actually researching the radios and building the ghost boxes. So that's where his time is best spent. But he has done a radio show in the past, but if you can, drop him a line or talk to Katie. They're very knowledgeable, and they will build you an awesome ghost box with a killer suite.
Yep. So X, what do you think of Steve Holte's sweep circuit? Or what do you think of his boxes? Hold up.
Do some real crazy fucking shit, bro. Like a whole different realm of thought.
Yeah, that's legit.
Right?
You didn't have to turn on the box for that. That just happened.
It just came through.
See, this is.
See, I'm on that wavelength where I can just communicate with whoever.
Brittany brings up a really good point. She says you have to be careful though, because just because a spirit says they are whoever's loved one, it could very well be not. Some spirits or entities like to pretend to be others just for you to get to playing with them. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
There's no way to be 100% sure. And that's what continues to push this research is we know we have intelligent communication coming through. We know this, and the people that are denying it maybe just haven't spent time like us, everyone in the audience, and Rob and I to understand this. But we know intelligent communication is coming through, and it does seem to be consciousness. It seems to be conscious. But you're right. There could be plenty of times that there's tricks being played, and we don't know. But that, Brittany, that's a very good point to bring up. Thank you for bringing that up. Waiting for the Holt to be a guest. Oh, Steve. Steve says, just sitting here waiting for the Holtes to be a guest on your show. I will literally remove myself if you would do us the honor of coming on the show. That would be fantastic. I would literally sit out and just join in the audience and totally geek out. I would love to hear what you have to say. A tremendous amount of information, but Carl, so are we. Yeah. No, but thank you for bringing that up, Brittany. It's a very good point. And again, that's why we keep doing this research. And that's why, you guys, we know this intelligent communication comes through. That's why it's so important that we don't have people faking sessions, because we're trying to figure out, okay, if they are playing a joke on us, or we don't know who is communicating with us, we're trying to figure that out. And then we have a group of people literally populating social media with these fake sessions, and it just doesn't do our work any justice. And pay attention, the sessions that are being faked, just pay attention. There's always one device being used. Okay, we don't see Holte's boxes in fake sessions. We don't see Rob's boxes. We don't see Supernatural Inc. boxes. We don't see Chicago Spirit Wave boxes. Okay, we don't see Jay Prather's boxes. We don't see anything from Ron Ricketts, Frank Sumption, Joe Ciappi, Rich Georgina. We don't see any of these boxes being used for fake sessions. We don't even see Radio Shack hacks being used for fake sessions.
All we see is a guitar amp. There's
one type of setup that's being used to fake sessions. And we are going to get into that in the next session, but I'll tell you why. It's because when you have reverb, it creates ambiguity, and it reduces the phonetical clarity of the communication coming through. We are going to get out of this big time in the next session, but just pay attention to the types of devices that are constantly being used to proliferate, I had to say that slowly, these fake sessions, and then look at what the ITC research community, look at the equipment they're using. And that is just kind of a glimpse of where we're going to be diving into in terms of this show. And we are going to be going through the nuts and bolts because in order to back up these claims, we need evidence, which we do have. But it just needs to be explained that that it really is a big goal of this show, I would say.
Yeah. Maybe Steve Holte wants to talk to our special guest today.
Oh, I'm sure he'd love to.
So who is here looking for Steve Holte today? Oh. Can you give us your name, please?
XXX.
So yeah, he was looking for Holte today.
Oh, Dawn's got your number. She said dancing ghost lady. Thank you, Dawn. I almost forgot.
No, you're not going to see the dancing ghost lady.
Dawn's got your number.
So yeah, there's some people that keep on wanting to see something, but they're not going to see it.
Eventually, we'll get to it.
Nope.
Eventually.
It's not going to happen.
Eventually.
Not going to happen.
I'm being positive. It will happen. I'm going to manifest this somehow. It will happen.
It's not going to happen.
Oh, man. Oh, Brittany says, you are welcome. I'm a paranormal investigator, or have been. I've taken a break since I have had children. I'm ready to get back out there. Yeah, no, that it's an excellent point, Brittany. And that's, I think people want to take everything at face value. And that Rob and I have talked about this. It's a common theme with our show, but when you're dealing with ITC or the paranormal, you're dealing with obviously the human psyche and the issues of ego and instant gratification. And a lot of devices are there to facilitate this. And that's why some devices do so well on social media, is because it gives the illusion of what we're doing is very easy and it's solved and case closed. This is how it works. This is all there is. That's it. And really, we're trying to kind of balance everything out and say that's actually not all there is. And really, this was kind of just a terrible offshoot in ITC history. It might be too harsh, but it's
but this is the thing. We talk the truth about ITC. So
Right.
with us just joking around and because if somebody's going to want to fake something, do a better job on faking your sessions.
Right.
I mean, you can take an audio. So you can take an audio clip from an interview, and you can put reverb behind it. You can do whatever you want behind it, and you can make it sound amazing. So all of these, should I even say it? So all of these clips that I was playing for you guys, this is how people fake sessions.
Don't say names.
No.
Okay,
I mean, I'm just saying,
Okay.
There's so many people out there on YouTube, on TikTok. And the funny thing is they're talking crap about each other on how they're faking stuff. And I'm like,
Right.
Are you guys serious right now? And so that's kind of why I did what I did. And being somebody that does voiceovers, I personally don't record voiceovers. I do have them produced. I send them to voiceover actors. Yes, there's people that get paid to do voiceovers, to do commercials, to do radio commercials, things like that. So, if you know how to use audio engineer, or if you're like an audio engineer and you know how to do production, it's really easy. You can take audio and you can make it sound like this. Or like this.
Do some real crazy fucking shit, though. Like, a whole different realm of thought.
So, if people really wanted to fake something,
the language,
they can really take an interview, like what they do. And I've called people out on it. Somebody did a
someone said the SCD too. Oh, they're OG. Whoever said that is OG.
I know who it is. I'm not saying who it is.
I don't know, but you're OG.
Oh no, you know who it is.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so basically, what people are.
Oh, okay. I know who it is. I know who it is.
So anyway, what was I saying?
We were talking about the proliferation of ITC, fake ITC.
Yeah. So I mean, because it's making the field so bad, and
Rob, you brought up a good point. And if we were to play devil's advocate here for just 1 second, for just one quick second, and you've brought this up and I'm going to bring it up too. You did bring up a point, and I've heard other people say this, that it did on a mass scale bring in people that never would have known about it to know about it. Now, is that a good thing or bad thing? I don't know. Would the world still be the way it is, or a good place if only the ITC researchers knew about it? I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I'm not qualified to answer that, but it's a good question, because it brought people to go, whoa, wait a minute. You mean we can actually talk to dead celebrities? And then some people are taking that a step further, going, oh, wait a minute. Can I talk to my family?
Right.
So it has led people to expand their consciousness and their thoughts to say, okay, there is something else out there. Man, it was just, it's one of the worst ways to do. I mean, it's faking it.
Now, here's what I have found, and it's pretty interesting. Most, I don't know if I should even say that, but people out there that are putting themselves out there, that are showing their results in ITC research, are the majority of the people that I have seen and people that are sharing their results are in the UK, or in Europe. I'm not just saying the UK. I mean, a lot of them are in the UK, but there's a lot of them spread out through Europe. I haven't seen really a lot of people in the US doing as much as I do see people in the UK or in Europe doing it. As you know, and maybe that's just because I think there's a lot of people that are in the paranormal field that are very lazy. And I hate to say this, but I think a lot of people are looking for instant gratification.
Right.
And you can't do that. So if you want to do something, you have to put in the time. You have to put in the effort.
Well, when is instant gratification ever for any skill, hobby, research? I mean, instant gratification is never a concept that anyone wants to bring to the table. I mean, it doesn't do the research any good. It literally, you're succumbing to human weakness, which is instant gratification. And that's just not how science works. I don't think it's ever worked like that, you know, nor should it. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's enough careful care and planning in the theory in itself and instant gratification. So it just doesn't apply here.
But it's not only in the ITC community, it's with the paranormal in general. I mean, it's I mean, and it's pretty bad. I mean, it's like you see all of these, and I hate to say it, but and it's funny because like with Facebook, it's, you know, everybody on Facebook wants to be, you know, they're starting groups. They want to be on a team. They want to do certain things. They want to go from location to location, you know, and all is to really research a location. Oh my God, you have to you have to stay there and investigate that location. If you want to investigate that location and really come down and put some evidence together, you have to put in the work. It's not just going to a location for, you know, an overnight stay for 5 or 8 hours, whatever.
Right.
You have to do that every single weekend for months before you're even going to get some legitimate research done. Mm-hmm. And that's where everybody's looking for the instant gratification. And then everybody is running around with night vision, running around at night and with the lights off. You know, you're not going to get anything, you know, you're not going to capture any. You're not going to capture great evidence is what I should say. Case in point, I mean, that's like going and trying to do a ghost box session, using a noise suppressor or a noise gate, because what you're doing is you're killing 90% of the responses instantly. I mean, because what you're doing is you're cutting out the you're using a high pass filter and cutting out all of those low frequencies. So, that's right there. You're already shooting yourself in the foot. You're already losing 90% of the evidence that you could be collecting if you're doing some true research. So it's just crazy.
Those pedals will literally cut out a noise suppression pedal or noise reduction. I'll be very generous and say that's not calculated properly or set to proper parameters will literally eliminate fragmentative communication. It will
I've proven it.
right.
I did a video on that.
And we're going to continue to show it. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I did a video on that and you just show, I mean, if you put an SB7 behind a noise gate, you would get nothing. I mean, literally nothing. You would get maybe one response in a 15-minute session.
Right. And literally probably just a word.
Yeah. And you're just talking about a word or maybe even two, maybe three. Right. In a 15-minute session, you might get 3 words.
Well, a noise suppression pedal literally removes the need for a duty cycle on the sweep circuit. I mean, you're literally not giving. You're almost. It's like, how do I say this? It's like taking the transmission out of a car. I mean, you could turn on the engine and I guess you could push it or roll it down the street. It's going to roll. You're going to get somewhere, but you're really taking out the mechanism, which really facilitates the communication. And that's why noise reduction, in some situations, depending on the equipment, can be beneficial, but it has to be calculated properly. And you have to do it visually with a spectral analysis and actually visually see the frequencies you're eliminating and what you can bring back for equalization. It's a process that I wouldn't recommend unless you had either a professional doing it or you had the equipment to do it. And unfortunately, what's been shown in the community is what I call the shortcut or the instant gratification, where let's just cut the noise, throw reverb at it, and go to town. And by the way, not record the raw audio signal. So you only hear what's coming through the effects, which unfortunately, again, is more for entertainment, or as Katie very bluntly said, it's taking advantage of dead celebrities for money. That is a very blunt way of putting it. I kind of just throw them in the entertainment category because I'm just trying to be generous, I guess. I don't know. I agree with Katie though.
No, absolutely. And it's just sad. And okay, I'm going to confess, I'm going to be honest with where the dancing girl came from, what we're talking about with you guys talking about like the dancing girl. Because quite a few years ago, I don't know what, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, somewhere around there. Probably between 9 and 7 years ago, I was doing a lot of investigating. I mean, tons of investigating.
Yeah.
And I was capturing some crazy footage. And I think it was because of my psychic abilities. It was helping me capture this stuff. And when I was approached by a lot of producers, and that's how I got to go to a certain location. It was a certain producer contacted a friend of mine who contacted me, and because we would do all of our investigating together. And he said, "Hey, Jason Bloom wants us to go investigate a theater. One of his actresses was attacked by a ghost. So he wants us there like in an hour." So we're like, okay, let's go. So I just packed up my gear, made sure and I charged it. Actually, I charged some of my batteries, my camera batteries on the way up. And so we got there. We had 45 minutes to investigate a 20,000 square foot building. And we just went to certain parts of the building. In the main stage, I was setting up one of my cameras. There was a a woman dancing, and I was like, what the hell? Why am I seeing it through the viewfinder, but with my naked eyes, you're not seeing it? So, so I asked somebody, hey, come here, check this out. What do you see? And they're like, dude, there's a freaking girl dancing. And I said, you're seeing that? And they were like, yeah. And so we all kind of gathered around, and everybody's like, but why can't we see her with our naked eyes? It was weird. So I went down there and was kind of like walking there, like, you're right. And you're just walked right through her. And I was like, dude, there's nothing here. But my just my whole arms and my whole body was covered in goosebumps when I walked right through her. And they're like, dude. And then I was like, no, we got to pack up. We got to go. We got other places to go. And, at that time, the girl that was attacked was walking, through the doors, and I started talking to her, and then her and I walked and met up with a group, and I was talking to her about what happened to her, and then I said, okay, can you take us down where you were attacked? And she took us down, and she was in like a fortune teller booth. And so she was saying when she was getting into the booth, something pushed and held the door shut on her, and then it finally let go, and then it walked away, and she said it was a man, and she said he kind of looked like a janitor, dressed in like a janitor outfit, blah blah blah. And then he just disappeared. So we're like, so you're standing right here? And she's like, yeah. So we started walking around, and I was shooting footage, and we went into the dressing room. And we're in there for a little while, and she was just walking us around. Then we were going back out to the door that led out to where the little fortune teller booth was, and I saw a man walking by, and I just followed him on camera, and I was like, "What the hell is he doing here?" And then, but I noticed as soon as he started walking away, he was transparent, and I'm just like filming him, and he's walking away. He walks down the hall and like kind of drops and like disappears, and then like turns into an orb, and then that orb shoots right between us and made like a whistling sound, and we're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So we watched that again, and we all watched it, and we're like, holy shit, I got it on camera. But there was a lot of evidence that I was capturing like that. I probably captured like 7 apparitions on film within a 3-year period. And I started showing this to a couple of producers that kind of heard about it, and they were like, this is no way that this is real. They were kind of questioning me, and I was like, no, this is all real. This is actual footage. This is raw footage. They're like, no, it's CGI'd. It's too good to be true. And I was like, no, this is actual real footage.
Right.
And I said, if you listen to it, you'll hear people in the background. This is all raw footage. And they were like, no, this is way too good to be true. After that, I just got a bad taste in my mouth. I said, you know what? I'm archiving all of this footage. Nobody's ever going to see it. And nobody saw it ever since. I did send some footage to another producer, and he said the same thing. He was like, there's no way that this is real.
Right.
So yeah, after that, I kind of just put it away, and nobody's ever seen it since.
And I think there are a lot of people in the GP, general public, or even in the research community, that we all have that experience or something that's happened to us where it's just unbelievable. There's no words to describe it. And it's one of those situations where you had to have been there, you had to have seen it. And then even when someone does hear the evidence or see the evidence, immediately it's dismissed like this is absolutely faked. And let's face it, we have technology today at our fingertips, even at very basic computers, and even inexpensive computers can produce some amazing fake evidence. And I mean, that's literally at everyone's disposal. And that also, I believe, is contributed to how easy it is to fake ITC sessions, especially for money, or to just monetize a channel or get the views or to get shock value. There's a million different reasons why people do it. Rob, how long have I been in this? And I don't even have a YouTube video up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
you've been. I have terabytes and terabytes of uncompressed audio from Ghostbox. I can't even comb through all of it, and I have to figure out how to organize it. But there hasn't been a need to do it. And I've played it for people. I have no problem playing for people or archiving it for people or giving it to people to hear. But it's just, you have to know someone's intention in the field. And mine has always been research first. That's just it. I don't know what else there is in this field. Some people are making a living off these fake sessions. But Rob, to what you were testifying to is that you have evidence that you've archived for that very reason. It's just, it's unbelievable, I guess, to use that word. People see it and they're just like, there's no way. There's just no
Yeah.
way.
I mean, and that's why when I, you kind of see people showing, their evidence and things like that. I mean, I became very, very critical. And I'm like, and I was like, this is what you call evidence. I'm like, and to me, it's like, and I'm not bragging, but
No, I get it.
but there's certain conditions that people aren't, and you have to understand when I'm shooting all this footage, all the lights are on. I can't turn off all the lights. I'm working in whatever the client tells me the situation was. If they said no, all the lights are on, I go in there with all the lights on.
Yeah.
How am I going to experience the same thing that they did?
Right.
If I change the environment, you can't change the environment. If somebody reports, a UFO sighting every day at the same time, or a ghost sighting every day at the same time, and it's 2:00 in the afternoon, why are you going to go there at 8:00 in the evening and turn off all the lights? And they're seeing it with all the lights on. You have to put everything in the same exact scenario of that when that was seen, and I did that. And then when I see people on these shows or investigators going in at night and they have all their lights off, I'm like, oh my god. And every single thing that I have ever captured was during the day or with the lights on. I never caught anything in night with using night vision. I have never gotten any piece of evidence with night vision or at night or walking around in the dark. That's never happened.
Right. When you begin to study the EM spectrum and you begin to understand how night vision works and what frequencies you're working with, it's easy to be discouraged by night vision. I think night vision at this point, for me, I'm not an actual paranormal investigator. I'm an ITC researcher, but I think I would use night vision for safety, so I don't trip on something. So
Yeah, no, exactly. No, exactly.
I don't know that I would use it particularly to try and capture evidence of a ghost. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I think that might be more for this dimension and not, tripping and falling and killing yourself into a hole. But yeah, I mean, you bring up good points about that type of research. And again, I'm not a paranormal investigator, Rob, but the one time you brought me out to specialize in a case that I worked on you with, we were there for over a year. And I think I went back there several times for several weekends.
Yeah.
And what was important and what I liked about how you led the group was you were concerned about sample size. Not just one experience, like you said, with the lights off at a different time that this person maybe said that the activity was happening, but you're also gathering a larger sample size over a larger period of time. And literally you had that case open for a year.
Right.
You brought in different people with different specialties. You brought me in, you brought someone in specialized in video, specialized in psychic mediumship and everything. And you really, I've never seen someone comb through a location or a case quite like you have. And I was only a cog in the wheel. And I was there.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying is, I mean, it took that long to have enough evidence and documented evidence to get somebody in there to actually help, because I know what they were looking for. I knew exactly what type of evidence we had to gather. You can't just freaking say, oh look, there's a ghost or there's an apparition. Yes, we got an apparition there. We've few people have saw that apparition, but was that enough to say, oh, we got to get somebody in here? No, I needed more. Yes, we saw somebody bloody in a tub, and we're like, right. And it was like, is this what, are we actually really seeing this person bloody in a tub? And then they just disappear. Was that really real? Did that really happen? And there was just so much phenomena that we captured that I had it all documented. And then once I put it all together and showed the person that I needed to get help from, he was like, holy shit. He said, this is real. Yeah, but it took a lot, and he combed through that, and then he put me through the ringer. I mean, I felt like I was being integrated to be arrested.
I
I
remember
mean,
talking with you
it
about
went that bad. I mean, and that intense, to where I was like, dude, I don't even want to do this anymore. I just, you can do whatever. I'm like, I was ready to say, look, I'm done. He's like, Rob, we got to keep going. I need this information from you.
right.
Um, and, but it happened. So, and I think that's why I'm just so passionate, and I'm so critical on a lot of the things that I see, and a lot of things that I see people doing. Is it's because everybody that I see is doing it for instant gratification,
Right.
and they want to show off their evidence, but they don't really have anything. And I'm like, are you really doing this right now? Are you really doing this? And that's just why I'm so passionate and why I'm so critical about certain things. Is it's because it takes a lot of work. You can't just go into a location, film, and say, okay, look, I got a show, I'm going to throw this up on the internet and have people pay to watch this, you know.
Right.
And it's like, are you serious? This is like, all right, whatever.
Well, and especially when, if I might be misspeaking or miscategorizing what you're saying, but when you rush an investigation, or you're trying to just show evidence and say, hey, look, I captured something, but so much of what we're trying to research and go after is interpretation. How are you interpreting the evidence? How is everyone else interpreting it? I mean, you can have someone look at a piece of evidence, or get 5 people to look at the same piece of evidence, and everyone's going to interpret it differently. And
Exactly.
so, and that also has to be factored into the investigation the best way possible. And that's why, again, I liked your style of investigating, which was incredibly thorough. It was over a period of time. Now, again, I know certain people don't have access to stay at a location for a year, or, there's obviously factors that limit. Someone may only have 3 hours at a location for whatever reason. And so obviously, if you're working under those parameters, you do the best you can. I don't mean to discourage that, or,
But here's the thing, even though you have access to a location for 3 hours,
Mhm.
you're going to have to do whatever it took you to get in for 3 hours, do it again, and then again, and
Right.
then again. Do it for, until you do it for 50, 60, 80 hours, and then see what you get.
Yeah.
It's going to that, but doing an investigation for, for from 3 to 80 hours,
Right.
you're going to have so much. You're going to know that building inside and out. You're going to know every sound inside and out. You're going to know every footstep inside and out. You're going to know if somebody else is in the building with you. You're going to know there's so many different factors. Just because you hear a door squeak doesn't mean that a ghost opened the door. If you
Right.
hear a bang, that doesn't mean that a ghost banged. You
Right.
hear somebody running across a catwalk in the middle of the night, you don't know if it was a mouse. You don't know if there was another person in the building. That's why I'm saying, once you
Right.
start putting in all that time, you're going to know every creak, every sound, just everything, about that location
Right.
inside and out. I mean, like when I spent, 100, almost 200 hours at Lincoln Heights Jail, I
Right.
knew that building inside and out. I knew when there was pigeons upstairs. I knew when, what would cause a cell door to slam. There was so much I knew about that building at that time. And then, but there was a lot of things then I was like, because I spent so much time in there that I could say there's no way in hell that this door slammed on its own, because I spent so many times. Yes, I know when there's a breeze coming through and the door will shut, and I'll try to, recreate that same slam,
Right.
over and over. And then I'll know, okay, well, that door slammed. It was that cell. I know that sound. Oh, that one has a certain creak to it. So there's different things in just spending hours and hours and hours
Right.
in a cell block. Um,
Right.
yeah, it's crazy. You just need to get, um, knowing all these locations. See, and I just get worked up. I'm sorry.
No,
It's just
you're
it's just because that's how passionate I am about doing the work. And that's why I said instant gratification is just there's so many people doing it. And
right,
it's just so bad for ITC. It's bad for paranormal. It's just bad all around.
right.
Okay,
Well,
rant over.
well, I was just going to footnote the one investigation I've done, or you brought me on, that lasted over a year. You didn't even go with me the first time. I went down with one of our team members, Eric, by ourselves as an audio engineer, just to study the acoustical properties of the home, just to find out where we might hear sounds that could be interpreted as an EVP or coming through the radio, to try and debunk, okay, this is what the plumbing is like. This room has these angles, has this geometric shape to it. This is how the sound is going to reflect and refract off the walls. This is what we're going to pick up through certain microphones. Are you using a unidirectional microphone? Are you, a mid-side setup? I mean, there's so much research that has to go into a location. And like Rob said, if you only have 1, 2, or 3 hours, try and go back several times if you can, if that's possible. But again, Rob, my experience with you, I went down several times just to study the home and its acoustical properties before we even began really investigating. And I think that's missing in this modern culture that we have of instant gratification and wanting answers now. And people want immediate interpretation as well. They want someone to say, I'm an expert. This is what it is. We're done. And it's never going to be like that. It's just not going to be like that. And when we stop questioning and we start accepting in society these fake ITC sessions, or we allow this to happen, or we just sit back and don't say anything about it, it's really hurting the integrity of what really this research community started of, back to Dr. Konstantin Radova and Frederick Jurgensen. This was honest research, and that's where it started. And it's just, I don't know that they thought it would have ever gone this way. I can't speak for them, but I just can't imagine they would have thought we'd be at this place where we are designing a show, Rob, where we talked about this is going to be a major point of our show, is to point this out and discuss this. I wish it weren't the case, but it is.
Yeah. And that's why, like I said, we will go on rants like this once in a while. So I mean, it will happen. And David, to answer your question, yes, I've been to Pearl Harbor, and honestly, the feeling that I got there, oh my God, the overwhelming feeling of sadness was crazy. But there's so many places in Hawaii in general, even on just the island of Oahu. It's pretty crazy. If you're sensitive, that's really not a place to go. You'll get overrun with emotion pretty quick.
I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Chantal. Am I pronouncing that right, Rob? I don't want to mispronounce anyone's name. Chantal, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. You bring up a very good point. You're saying, I think a good paranormal investigator sets out to prove why it is not paranormal, eliminate all their possible options. Then when you can't, it can be authentic. That's
absolutely correct.
And that's exactly, I mean, in fact, I probably rambled too long. I should have just said that. It's well said.
No, I mean, that's exactly that's exactly the case. I mean, everything that I do, I try to prove that it's nothing paranormal. It's just, that's basically our job. I mean, you want to disprove anything paranormal now, because this is the sad fact. Everybody sees something and they always claim it's paranormal. No, 99.9% of the things out there can be proven that it's nothing paranormal. There's a lot of equipment that people use. The SLS is prime example. SLS was, the Kinect camera was designed to be stationary in a large area. It's not used to be walked around handheld, because what you're doing is you're taking the focal length and shortening it. So the software wasn't designed to do that. So when you shorten that focal length, Now what it's going to do is it's going to just try to map with anything. You can experiment with a Snapchat filter doing the same exact thing. The Snapchat filter will do the same exact thing as an SLS because that's what the software was designed to do. It's designed to take certain shapes and map on that shape. With the and if you do read the Connect, um it's the SDK, the software developer kit, you will see all of the parameters that they give you for the camera. If you do the research and you read what it says, it will tell you it needs to be at a stationary position at all times. It needs to be set on a tripod or on a stationary on a table facing out a large room. With that, and then the person needs to be at least 6 feet away from the camera. And then you have to stand still, and then you will walk through the initialization process of the software. So it'll tell you lift up your right arm, lift up your left arm, lift up your right foot, lift up your left foot. So there's a lot of things that it takes to initialize the software, and then it says, okay, it's ready. But when somebody's just walking around in a location, the software hasn't even stabilized yet. So it's all over the place.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
A genuine question, because I have not used that camera setup, but Bill from
Bill
Digital
Chappell.
House, but yeah, didn't he create a type of software program where it could work remotely? I don't know. I remember through the
There's a
grapevine,
lot of there was a lot of false positives with that,
there
and
was,
that
okay,
yeah. And I talked to another engineer with that, and he told me
that's
the
how.
same thing.
Okay,
Yeah, and he said, he even said, Bill put out that false information out there. He's the one that started all this false information, and he said, read the SDK. The SDK will tell you, and it'll tell you exactly if you ever set up a Connect to use it for what it was designed
right,
to do,
for the
was play video games
right,
on the Xbox. You had to go through, certain steps to get it working
right,
because it was just like all over the place.
okay,
If you have a water bottle on your desk and now you move the camera and put it right in front of it, it's going to try to map a figure on that because it thinks it's a figure, because the distance is you're creating the shorter distance, and now it's thinking that figure is 6 feet away now, but no, it's actually only 3 inches away or 6 inches away, whatever. So the software thinks it's at a further distance and it's going to try to map it. That's exactly what the Snapchat does.
Bye, Chantal. Thank you for joining us. Good luck with the students and horses. That sounds like fun. Horses.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, man.
But anyway,
well, no, and that's. I thank you for bringing that up because I knew that he had worked. I wasn't sure. I wasn't clear on the information. What was coming back to me was from multiple sources, like you said, and I wasn't sure what was going on with that. But I know the comment section have stated that when they've used it, that it's been fixed in a fixed position, stationary, in a wind-free environment, minimal variables, controlled environment, I guess as much as you possibly can when you're out investigating. I don't even know, there's no such thing as a controlled environment when you're in someone else's location, but the best do the best you can do.
No, exactly. So, I mean, it's just kind of crazy, but
well, and I think that's where how our show is going to progress essentially is we do have some history and education to spill in every now and again, but we're going to cover these topics. And I know, especially I'm trying to get in a situation set up where I can show you through my software and my spectral analysis, how ghost boxes look visually, not just what we hear, what you see on a screen. You can actually see the frequencies, and we can look at these different ghost boxes and see which ones technically have maybe more desirable specifications for ghost box research. I'm just speaking specifically with audio-based or radio-based ITC. So much depends on the operator. So much depends on the energy of the operator, the intent of the operator, but everything held constant with the same operator we're going to look at ghost boxes pound for pound in different setups. And we'll, again, I'm going to work with Rob to get something where you can see my screen and I can show you what's going on. We can listen to it and you can make your own judgment call on what device is best for you. And I know that, Rob, as the show goes on, we're also going to talk about our investigation techniques. And you have a tremendous amount of experience to share as well, investigating a tremendous amount. And someone's talking about me getting keys to get into some type of vault you have to get dancing ghosts and all this visual evidence. So I'm sure you'll see a GoFundMe soon for some type of welding device or torch device to get into your safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Sponsored by the group chat.
What we can do probably is at some point, I mean, if you do want to do something like that,
I'd love to. Yeah, absolutely. I would do it. I would do this show from where I work at a studio, but I don't always work alone. And because of the recent situation that we're all dealing with in terms of working from home and working virtually, I don't know exactly when I'm going to be at that location. So when that does return, I might be able to do the show from my actual studio, where I do this work. You can see the equipment we use, pull up screens. I don't know if the bandwidth will carry. I know I have a hard line connection there, but we'll have to experiment with a few different setups.
Yeah, either that or I'm just going to have to.
You'll have to do everything yourself.
No, I'm going to have to just bite the bullet and just get some production software, like I talked about before.
Right. We're going to figure it out. Yeah, because
we'll figure it out.
Right. I mean, the whole purpose of the show is to really give you as much information about ITC and the paranormal as possible. And we can talk about it, but it would be nice to visually show you some things. What I do in terms of my research as an audio engineer, and Rob will obviously continue to share his investigation experiences minus the critical evidence that he won't share with us. So that's... I told you I'm going to pick on you, dude. I told you it's going to happen.
But, and that was like a case that was like 1 in a million to capture 2 apparitions within 45 minutes. Actually, we saw 3 apparitions. One we didn't get on film.
Right.
And we think it was the same male because it was in the basement. You have to remember, this building is a 20,000 square foot building.
Wow.
And it's several stories, but the basement itself was huge. I mean, it's huge. And so we had to go through that basement to get to another part of the building. And when we're going down in the main basement, we saw an apparition like dart across the walkway where we were walking, and we all stopped and we're like, who is that guy that just ran by us? And we thought it was a real person. And that the girl that was walking with us freaked out. She like totally freaked. And she said, that was him. And then we're like, oh shit. And so we kind of walked around and then we went to where she was, and she was like really scared. And I said, don't worry about it. But anyway, within that short period of time, for us to get 2 apparitions on camera, that's like just not, it doesn't happen.
Was this some type of residual energy, like time repeating itself, or do you believe this was intelligent?
No, this was intelligent.
Wow.
And when we showed some of the other workers there, one of the caretakers, I guess the main caretaker, custodian, whatever you want to call him, he was like, dude, that's exactly what I see. That's what I see. And he said that girl's always dancing in the theater and she freaks me out. I will not go in the theater by myself. That's how freaked out he is. And he was a big guy, and he was like, I will not go in there because she freaks me out. She does this all the time. And I was showing him the video. He said, yeah, she's always there, or sometimes even on the main stage doing that.
Wow. That's incredible. That I've never, as long as I've been involved with ITC, I've never visually ever seen anything like that, or even remotely close. I can say.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So yeah, we'll have to get the Holtes on here.
Steve and Katie have a tremendous amount of information that's not only useful, but definitely needs to be chronicled. I know they've done it on their show. We'd love to have them on our show. I'd like to kick you off, Rob, so I can ask them the questions, but I don't know if I'll get my dream wish on that.
We can do that.
Yeah. but yeah, we're going to have some good information coming out, and we're also going to learn from you guys, and hopefully future guests we have on the show as well. We'll be learning from them. We'll all be learning from them. We'll learn from each other and continue to contribute this knowledge, because we don't have solid answers yet, despite what people are showing you on TikTok or these other sessions that we know are being faked, that we can prove are being faked, that the research goes so much deeper, and that's this community. So if you want to be involved in something like that, or you want to come here to continue to learn, that's what we're doing. And I enjoy learning every show. I enjoy educating and learning.
So soon I will be giving away this ghost box.
That's going to be a gift for someone?
This will be a gift for somebody.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a Supernatural ink box. Wait, did I say that redundantly? It's a Supernatural ink box. Right. I said that right. Anyway, very, very great radio. KD is the owner and master mad scientist of Supernatural Ink, and he does some great work. He creates his own sweep circuits. He works with analog and digital radios. He is a legit builder. He is on our 2 thumbs up list, Supernatural Ink. And that's going to be a giveaway item. You guys are going to want that. And isn't that also a boombox that records to tape, to audio cassette?
It does. It does have a recorder.
Oh, that's a fantastic giveaway item. And wow, you didn't even ask me if I wanted. You didn't even give me first crack at it.
So yeah, it has a.
Do you see how I'm treated here as a guest? It's terrible, Rob. No, this is a good giveaway item, and really, what this is we want to support the people that are continuing to do the real work, the groundbreaking research, and we're going to continue to get these people, and including Rob. I'm going to be drilling Rob to continue with his circuit and not stop. Because
I almost did. I mean, seriously.
I wasn't happy about that. I was not.
I was, because I was only going to build a few boxes, and Josh got one. I think I was only building 10, something like that.
Yeah, I think there was about 10. Yeah.
And then Josh came over, and we started playing around with a couple of boxes, and then some crap happened with 2 boxes communicating with each other, and
yeah, that was great.
Then it was like, I think I got to keep building these things, and I'm glad I did, because a lot of people have had amazing results, and a lot of the results I've seen, and I'm just blown. I'm blown away every time I hear one of my boxes going, and some of the things that are coming through.
I receive excellent breakthrough communication with your box, and I mean excellent breakthrough communication. Several words in a row, sentences. It's especially with the new duty cycle adjustment that you've put on there. It's just, man, it doesn't shut up. There's a lot of communication that comes through that. When are we doing that giveaway for the ink box?
I think we'll try to promote the show a little bit, and then probably the last Wednesday of May.
Okay. Yeah, let's get that locked in, because I know that box
the 26th.
Okay. Mate.
So in 4 weeks. We'll be giving that box away. So
those
on the
boxes
26th.
are still being those boxes are in demand, and I think he stopped making them.
Yeah.
And they were a limited run. So that is a limited run box. And they will be, Katie's work is excellent. He's very good at what he does. So definitely something you'll want to stick around for and see if you can win.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I'll start promoting it, and we'll see what happens.
And I have some radios as time goes on. I have some other, maybe some shack hacks or something, along those lines that we.
Uh-oh. Lost Josh. He got booted. He's back.
When did you lose me?
Just a minute ago.
That was because I said I wanted you off the show when the Holtes are on. That's okay. I see the passive aggressive.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I got it.
So Dawn said her mom used to do Ouija board alone and have seen many things. One time my mom and her room.
I tried talking to the spirit, and then the spirit vanished. I went downstairs, was really scared. Oh, so it looks. Oh, okay. So your mom wasn't in the house when this happened. Okay, you're just with your sister. Wow. So Dawn, you've had these experiences since you were a young child. This is something that has impacted your life and made an influence on your life. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that. It's a wild experience. Dawn says she'll take the box off our hands.
Yeah, I saw that.
It is a great box, and you know what you get with a boutique box is you get a custom sweep rate, and you get a box that's been designed specifically to focus in on the communication or to help facilitate that communication compared to a normal radio. And that's why the research from, you know, I call them scientists, engineers, if you will, electrical engineers and scientists. It's very good work, and that'll be a fun radio for someone. Very fun.
Yeah, I mean, boutique boxes are really cool because they're unique. You know, when you buy these manufactured boxes, you know, they're set to how they want them to work.
Right.
And they're not fine-tuned as a boutique box is, because a boutique box goes through many phases, through beta testing, through different testing. Some of them are even thrown out.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've seen your trash can. I've seen your trash cans, I should say.
I'm just so particular. You know, there's some things that I think would have sold no problem, but I just don't. I'm not like that. I don't put out something that I wouldn't use or not happy with.
Right.
So if I'm not 100% happy with something, it gets trashed.
Right.
And I don't care if I'm losing money. It just goes in the trash.
None of us care if you lose money, Rob. We just want a good ghost box.
Exactly.
Just get to work.
Exactly.
Whatever your budget is, just get the job done, man. Stop complaining.
Exactly.
But yeah, as the show goes on, we're going to recommend. And again, I'm not an expert. I consider myself a specialist because I specialize in radio-based and audio-based ITC, but I'm not an expert. But I will give you my opinion on who is making currently the boxes that are making the furthest advancement in ITC. And we're going to recommend those people because we want to see this community flourish, and we want to get this community back on stable ground. And this show right now, it is small, and we're going to grow the community. There are others out there like us trying to grow this community and get the right information out there. And we'll continue to do so. And like I said, we're still going to try and get some parapsychologists on the show and some engineers that aren't necessarily known publicly that are doing private work. They're doing some very fascinating things with crystals and master word clocks and other things that are pretty much not available to the general consumer, but might be of interest to people watching this show.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, there's so many people out there that are doing some phenomenal ITC research out there. It's amazing. And like I said, I mean, I'm getting a lot of responses from people in the UK, more so than here in the US.
Interesting.
And I think a lot of my boxes, I've sold, oh my gosh, I would probably say almost a couple of hundred boxes now.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought I was special, and I thought I had like a unique box, dude. Now I feel
I was cranking them out like 10 to 15 a week.
You're gonna sign mine or something, right? Or put a number on it, like number 1. I mean, come on, dude.
But a lot of them, I think more so now, they've all been shipped to the UK more than the US now.
Oh, okay. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I don't, like I said, I don't see that much research going on here. I can probably count as, you know, how many people are doing ITC work in the US, probably on one hand.
Publicly. I mean,
publicly,
yeah,
right. Yeah. On one hand. But publicly, in the UK, I couldn't even keep count.
Really? Wow.
It's just, yeah. I mean, in the UK, it's like, for those of you that go on Facebook and see the people doing paranormal stuff, it would be equivalent to that of people doing ITC work in the UK.
Wow. That's exponentially larger than what we've
Yeah,
seen publicly here in the United States.
it's huge.
Right. Well, and we're going to cover too. There's also video ITC, ITC involving photography, different type of still using film. There's holography, holograms. There's lasers. I mean, there is so much involved with ITC and scrying. Rob, I know that you have a lot of experience with mirrors and scrying.
Yeah.
So we're going to. It's not just radio and audio based. That's my specialty. But we're going to cover. There's some tremendous work being done with the video feed loopback method. That's being done by a group in Seattle, and there's a lot of other people working with it, and the results are just amazing. It makes me want to stop working with the audio and go right to video, but that's even more time consuming. Reviewing video feedback loop is very time consuming. You better be retired and have nothing to do.
Doing laser ITC is amazing.
Yeah.
God, I wish my devices didn't die.
We're going to get back into it. We're going to find a way to put that live. We're going to get into that.
I wish I had because I bought a couple lasers. So basically you would bounce a laser off a glass.
Right.
And you would do ITC sessions that way.
Erlen Babcock, yeah.
And it was, some of the results were amazing. And the only thing that is bad about Bill Chappell's stuff is it doesn't last long.
You mean in regarding longevity? Or,
yeah.
So you're saying a product will die or just not? It'll just
it just died. I've had a couple of his lasers. I bought 2, and they're very hard to find. I was lucky to find them at a good price, wow. And they were brand new. I think they were only used a couple of times, but I ran them constantly for hours.
You know what? That's right. You did. That was before I moved to the area you're currently living in. God, that's right. You did.
And then they wouldn't even power on anymore. And then I tried to contact him, and he's not even supporting his products anymore.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know what his current business.
Yeah, I mean, I was sending emails and I just wasn't getting any responses. So.
You sure he just didn't like you or something? Or?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe
I could see that.
maybe that's what it was.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah, so we'll get into some more things. That's something that, God, I wish I could, build one of those.
Well, I want to move in that direction because really we're just dealing with frequency. I don't want to say we're just dealing with frequency. I mean, we're dealing with a different project, but a lot of the things I've learned with audio and studying the pressure wave, which is what sound waves are, it's interesting because a lot of the things they're doing with lasers, we're trying to create, reduplicate almost the same effect, is creating that energy field and using light and laser to create, whether it's a hologram or some type of communication. It would be nice to do something like that. I don't know if we can do it live. We'll probably maybe have to film it and upload the video, but eventually we'll get back. First we got to figure out how to broadcast to you guys and figure out the software we're going to use. Then we'll get to the lasers and other projects we're going to be working with. One thing at a time.
No, exactly. And the reason why we're trying different software and trying things is I'm trying to get the audio. I mean, the audio using this is like phenomenal,
right?
But it has its limitations,
right?
So everything I'm going to have to reroute through my mixing board, things like that. And
well, and we want to make sure that, because depending on the software we use and the algorithm, or I should say the logistics we have set up, if we have a very good setup, then we can do these experiments live, because we know that we can rely on the software, we can rely on how we're broadcasting this to you and in real time. And that's important. So if we are going to test these experiments, even just to show what's possible, we want to make sure we have the proper software to do that. So
exactly.
That's really important.
Hey, Sam, can I send a barking dog towards you and tell me what it's saying to us, please?
Oh, hey, life after life. Hey, Sam, how are you? Rob, housekeeping real quick. Are we going a little longer because the first part of the show was just us not knowing how to use
Yeah,
our equipment?
we're just exactly. We're
Okay.
just going a little long.
Okay.
But getting back to the software, yeah, we're just trying to we want to make everything work as well as possible. Like what Josh was saying, we want to give some demos, like audio demos on how the wavelength works. There's a lot of things that go on the back end.
Right.
With frequency and things like that. So we just want to show how a wave works, and you can tell when audio is being faked and things like that. So there's a whole science behind this, and you can with us being like, I know Josh is a professional engineer, audio engineer. I've done a lot of research on engineering, so
you know a
but
lot. You know a lot.
yeah, I mean, I've worked in hands-on with audio. I mean, that's basically what I do now. So, I do know how the wave, how to tune things, how the wavelength works, how voiceovers work, how you can tell masking when somebody's trying to mask to hide audio or overlay audio. There's a lot of things that you can do to there's just a lot of things you can do to try to hide what somebody's doing. And the easiest thing to do is watch somebody's hands right in the open, because if you see somebody turning knobs, things like that, they're basically opening up a noise gate and closing the noise gate. To hide things in plain sight is the oldest trick in the book.
That's a good point.
Because that's what you do. You just hide it in plain sight because nobody knows what you're doing anyway. So you're just gonna hide it in the open.
Right.
But anyway.
Vitrina brought up a good point. She says, I have some spirit box recordings that if you slow them way down, adjust the pitch a little, and adjust the frequency for noise reduction, you can hear stuff coming through. And I have found that as well. And recordings aren't just so cut and dry. And that's why the replay process is so important. And you're experimenting with different equalization and adjustments within the playback to see what is lying beneath layers, because it comes through as layer communication. And that's interesting. And I like that you said, I like this, adjust the frequency for noise reduction. And that is so important, because when you just slap a noise reduction on something and you don't adjust it, you're cutting
out the high pass,
right? Or depending on the type of plugin or the pedal, there's certain frequencies that are being cut out. But I like how you're adjusting that. And playback is so important, and experimentation with playback is very important. Very good point. Thank you.
So with that being said, now what you can do is, before you even do that, you can throw it in an audio spectrum analyzer, and basically it's going to show the very low frequencies that are below the human ear, what the human ear can hear.
20 hertz generally, right?
Yeah. So you're going to see it within around the 5 to 8 hertz range. So if you take that, and I used to use Audacity a lot whenever I would analyze EVP, I would always see frequency, because that is where that's where you're going to hear a lot of whispers, a lot of things. And it's been documented for people that have done EVP research. They even tell you, you're going to hear most of your EVPs are going to come in below the 20 hertz range. You're going to find most of those EVPs within the 8 to 5 hertz range. So once you see that, what you can do is you can highlight that and amplify that sound to where it's going to amplify it to where you're going to be able to hear it. Now, when you see it, and I've done this, and you'll just hear some phenomenal voices coming through. It's just amazing. It takes a lot of work. This is where, again, you can't look for just that easy way out in trying to get Class A EVPs. You can get some Class A EVPs out of something that is that low, but you're going to have to amplify that signal. It takes work,
Right.
and the work that people don't want to do.
Right. And there's also ways of, similar to how a guitarist will use an octave or an octaver pedal, which will reduplicate certain frequencies multiple times at higher octave or lower octave levels. You can do the same thing with these frequencies that are what you consider infrasound or lowers, I guess, the pop.
They're ultrasonic sounds.
Right. And yeah, so when you're dealing with sounds that are outside of 20 kilohertz, 20 hertz, things like this, you can manipulate them so we can hear them within the spectrum of range that our ears can hear them, or we can visually see them and analyze them that way. But it's very important. Yeah, there's so much more detail behind just hearing an EVP and recording something and stopping and listening back. There's so much more that might be beneath that or at other frequencies that you just can't hear through the very minimal frequency response of the playback speaker in these recorders that only record at 6 or 8. What's the sampling frequency on some of these, like 6.6 kilohertz or 8 kilohertz? I don't know. And
like with the DR60, it's like
6.6. I think
it's
the
like
DR60 is 6.6 kilohertz. And that's sampling rate.
And that's like
it's horrible.
That's like less than a toy that can record somebody's voice.
That was the first recorder on the market that used a portable A to D converter that was converting at 6-bit 6.6 kilohertz, but it is the worst quality ever. I mean, it may capture a high quantity of EVP, but actually getting audible clarity and phonetical clarity from that recorder is tremendously difficult. I've worked with that recorder for years. It's a real pain sometimes, that recorder.
It is. It is. But with all that said, I mean, that's like the theme of the night. It's you have to put in the work.
Right. There's no shortcuts in life.
There's no shortcuts with anything. No. And the thing that I hate, and I absolutely hate, is audio or video review. I mean, trust me. That's why. The other thing I was going to say, never, ever, ever use noise canceling headphones. I don't care how much you pay for headphones.
Great point. Excellent point.
Make sure you do not use noise canceling headphones. Right. Like with these headphones are professional headphones. These are what they're called open back.
Oh yeah, open back. A mix on open back, yeah.
Yeah, so basically you can hear people behind you, you can hear everything, but you still hear all the audio. Because when you're in a studio recording, you want to hear all the phonetics, but also you don't want to get distracted. Or the worst thing is for somebody to come and tap you. So with open backs, somebody can sit next to you and still talk to you, and you can still hear the mix on what you're doing.
And on top of that too, the open back headphones, they release the pressure from the drivers in the ears. So what's happening is when you have closed back headphones, the sound will actually be presented to you differently. The pressure buildup within the drivers will be able to escape with an open back headphone, and actually you'll have a more accurate frequency response and ability to hear, like Rob says, phonetical sounds a lot cleaner. But don't use them if there's 20 people in the room and you have open back headphones and you're listening to EVP, then that could be a conflict of interest because you might hear the people talking in the room. But if you're by yourself, an open back headphone is fantastic to use for review. And
that's why I sit here with open backs.
Yeah, no,
because sometimes I do want to hear what's happening around me because of this haunted location that I'm at.
Well, Rob, I have closed backs. So hold on a second. Show your open backs. Right. So I have my trusty pair of my runaround KRK closed back headphones because sometimes I'm in a studio with 1 million people there and I want that privacy. But Rob is actually using the more acoustically accurate, phonetically accurate headphone, an open back headphone.
Yeah, and these take a lot of power.
Yes,
these are 250 ohm.
Do you have a headphone amplifier for those?
My mixing board.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay. Very cool. Yeah. So we're over the show's course of time, we're going to drop as much as we've learned to you. And like I said, we're already learning in the comments. So many people have left some great comments about investigating. And I have no investigation experience, so I actually learn a lot reading these comments. Fantastic.
Yeah. So software. Somebody was saying something about Audacity. Audacity is free.
Yeah, it's a great free program.
And it's a great free program. It's amazing. For me doing effects and things like that. I mean, I have some paid software, and actually Audacity has some amazing free effects and things like that.
Yeah.
Honestly, you can't go wrong with Audacity. I have it installed. I use it.
You don't need to spend a lot of money to conduct real and proper ITC research and to do the review. I'm spoiled just because it's my job or my career, and I have access to these things. But if I wasn't in this position, you could really, a good Shack Hack radio, a recorder, Audacity. I mean, you could probably do this for what? For like $100, Rob? I mean,
even less than that.
Even less, right? So
you can buy the best EVP recorder out there on the market, which is the Olympus 4100.
PC, the little gold one, right?
Yeah. And that's going to cost you about $15, right. $20. I know for a while they skyrocketed, but the prices have dropped back down. Right. It's a hidden gem. That's probably the best EVP recorder on the market.
I think even in LP mode, I think it records at 8 kilohertz or maybe a little bit lower, but it's very quiet. Like
it's very quiet.
And the electromagnetism of the circuitry, it's a very quiet little recorder for how low the sample rate is. It is a good recorder.
And it records better than the DR7 or DR60 actually.
A lot of ambiguity with that recorder. We've got some mistimed circuits. We have some word clock issues with that recorder, which makes the VOR trip when it shouldn't. There's a lot of things wrong. In fact, let's do a whole episode in the future on just that recorder. We can literally dissect that recorder inside and out.
Oh, we can do that. If people want to hear that, then.
In fact, we'll do that when I can hook that up and show the frequency response of that recorder and actually show that there's a clocking issue with that recorder.
You know what we can do is if we want to do we can actually shoot the session. We can record it on video and then do a playback.
Oh, right. Okay.
I think that would probably be the best.
Okay. Yeah, that we
instead of trying to do it live, I think something like that would work.
Yeah, that could be a good idea. Sam says, what do you think of using good Zoom recorders with background audio support like radio static? I think that's a decent idea. I think that's a really good experiment. I know the Zoom recorders, they are good, and at the price point they're good. I know that they have somewhat noisy A to D conversion. Their A to D converters, they're good, little noisy, but I like the idea of including it with radio static.
What you can do is always, whenever you use a Zoom recorder, always record in WAV format. Never use MP3.
Yes. Uncompressed audio, 16-bit, 24-bit, it doesn't matter. I would just definitely be an uncompressed audio. 16-bit 44.1 is still generally the standard.
Yeah.
You can go up higher, but then you're talking about different codecs for video processing, and I would stick with 16-bit 44.1. If you can record in 24-bit 96 kilohertz. But with these portable recorders, the A to D conversion is still a consumer unit. You're not going to see that big of a jump in 16-bit to 24-bit or from 44.1 to, let's say, 96 kilohertz. But the highest you can go generally, I would, because it will reduce ambiguity and increase clarity. And that really is the goal.
What is it, the H1 or N1? It's the H1.
The H1, it's
just a small little.
Does Zoom still have one that does the mid-side recording? It's that fat round one, and you can set it to a mid-side recording in terms of where the mics are placed and how they're recording.
They don't sell those anymore. They're discontinued, but you can still get those.
Okay.
Yeah, just the Zoom, the H1, those actually work really well.
Yeah, they
They're
do.
fairly inexpensive.
Right.
They only have one button on it. It's record, and you can change a couple of the settings. But if you just want like an ambient sound recorder, or just having a static recorder, or if you just want to carry it around, I think it's an inexpensive recorder that works.
Yeah.
If you want a digital recorder.
Mhm. That's right. Yeah, Sam says he has the H1 and H4 and H4N. That's right. That was the upgraded H4. Those are great. In fact, you can do a lot. You can cover a lot of ground, especially in one room, recording, or depending on the location.
I used to have a bunch of the H4 and the H4Ns.
Mhm.
I used to have like 6 of them, and I would put them in different spots and locations, leave them statically recording. But then again, I hated listening to audio playback. It was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to listen to it.
Right. And that's why I mentioned the ADD conversion in some of the Zoom products is a little noisy. They're great recorders, especially for the price for what you're getting. But then again, I mean, we all do what we can afford. And, a lot of the gear I use, I borrow from work. So I didn't say that. I didn't say steal. But yeah, that's a great setup, Sam. And Vitrina says she's recording in WAV format. That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah. Now, here's a little cheat sheet for those of you that want to kind of quickly go over audio. You can kind of get, when you're looking at audio waves, you can kind of see where EVPs are going to be caught by using Audacity and using the spectrum analyzer in there. I would just kind of quickly go through. I'm like, I'm not listening to all that audio. I'm not sitting there with headphones on listening to,
but you have to, Rob.
12,
you have to.
12 hours of audio. I'm not going to do it. So I got so lazy to where and I got pretty good at it. So I would pull up that analyzer and just say, I was like, start scanning. Wait, here's something. You kind of get an eye for it. You just see like the anomaly. I would highlight it, play it back, amplify it, and I was like, holy shit, I found something. Right. And then I would clip it, put it in a file. I would go through all of my recordings in maybe an hour of 16, 20 hours worth of audio. I would go through it all in maybe an hour. And out of that, I would probably catch like, 10 EVPs, maybe. Right. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Sometimes I would be like, damn, there's nothing here. Right. Because you kind of know what to look for. And then, like I said, you get good at it after a while. And then after a while, you start scanning through it and it's like, there's nothing here.
Right.
Everything else, yes, you might miss some that are in higher frequencies. That are going to be at 20 hertz or whatever.
Do we really
catch
everything? I mean, yeah.
Exactly. And then I'm like, but you know what? That's not the EVPs I'm looking for. I'm looking for the lower frequency ones anyway, because those are going to be like the amazing EVPs. The other ones you might hear, a cough. You might hear somebody saying, it's me, like a whisper or something like that. Yes. Okay, cool. But the ones that I was always looking for were the really low frequency ones, because it was something that you would hear and it was always like a disembodied voice or something. Right. Just like, if they can't speak at that high of a decibel anyway, it's like, okay, then something's trying to get your attention and they're trying as hard as they can. So it's got to be something interesting. And yeah, I had some amazing EVPs by doing that.
Right. And the review process, and kind of piggybacking off what you're saying, Vitrina is saying, it takes me forever, hours to go over something less than 10 minutes. And that, I mean, yes, that's the reason.
Exactly.
Is 10 minutes of audio can take me all weekend. And like you're saying, it takes a long time because there's so much to go over. There's so much at so many levels of frequency. And an analogy I use with a friend who didn't know about my research, the movie Contact, when Jodie Foster was trying to figure out how this machine was, what the CAD diagram, if you will, of this machine that was going to travel through space looked like. And it took the scientist, I forgot his name, but he actually had to rotate it and look at it through 4 dimensions, I believe, because they were looking at it all wrong. And so much of our research is literally that, is we're seeing what's on the surface level, but there's so much beneath that. And there's so many other ways, like you mentioned, slowing it down and analyzing the frequencies and visually seeing the frequencies. And literally there's, in 10 minutes of audio, there's a story to tell. It's not just 1 or 2 words. You can kind of get an entire glimpse of the wide facets of communication that we're getting. So
Right.
review is so important for what we're doing.
No, and it is, but like I said, I mean, I just got so burnt out to where I'm like, I don't even want to review this anymore. Just because I was spending, weekend or even a month, it would take me literally, I would have, a friend of mine come over. She was another audio engineer. And her and I would sit there and listen to EVPs, and we'll sit there till 3-4 o'clock in the morning. And then
the coffee.
Yeah. And then she would come over, the next weekend we'd do the same thing, still doing the same audio review.
Right.
And it's like, Jesus Christ. And then her and I started saying, you know what, why in the hell are we doing this? Why are we doing this to ourselves? And then we started going through, I had like 2 huge monitors.
Right.
And I said, why don't we just do this? And then I was showing her, and then she's like, holy crap, why didn't I think of that? So then her and I would just go through and basically scrubbing through all the audio. Scrubbing means fast forwarding through all the audio. And then we were looking for all the anomalies.
Right.
And I would do one and then pass it to her. So if I missed anything, she would back me up. And we got to the point to where we never missed anything. We're like, all right, let me double check you. And then we would go through it. All right, you know what? I didn't find anything more. We're not even going to double check each other anymore because we got so good at it. But you find little techniques on how to go through your audio pretty quick.
Yeah. And that really, I mean, could you imagine? I know we're getting close to 11 o'clock, but I just wanted to say, could you imagine, for example, the ITC video feedback loop method that Klaus Schreiber had invented or discovered? Imagine if he didn't put the work in. Imagine if no one thought to put the work in, because it took him hours just to review 30 seconds of video because he had to go frame by frame by frame. Could you imagine if he didn't put the work in and just wanted instant gratification?
Right.
I mean, this field wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the homework, the hard research. This field wasn't founded on instant gratification. And that's, I think, what is just so insulting.
Okay,
again.
so here's a funny thing. So Josh came over. We were talking about doing 2 radios. He came over, and we were talking about doing video loopback.
Right.
And so I said, okay. So I told him I'm going to go look for a camera and I'm going to look for a monitor. I found those a week later, and guess where they are? They're still in the shipping boxes that I received them in, stuck in the corner in my garage, because I've had so many other projects going that I'm just like, I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to use it right now. I don't have the time to sit there and watch something frame by frame.
Oh, it's time. You think reviewing audio is time consuming. Wait till you go frame by frame in video. Man, you better be awake and do it when you have energy, have coffee, whatever. But it's fascinating, but it takes a lot of work. But that again, there's no shortcuts there. That was discovered through hard work and experimentation and everything, even from the Spiricom, from William O'Neill and George Meek. These devices were because people put in the homework and the time. Now, they said that people were channeling information through them and they were getting information from spirit. But at the same time, if this entire field was based or worked off instant gratification, we would have nothing. And if you are watching this show, you've used a radio, you've done EVP, it takes work and it takes time to listen back. And that's something else that the community that's faking ITC is proliferating. That's the word of the show, that it's very easy to get evidence. It's very easy to interpret it. Case in point, you're done. No, other than it being morally and ethically wrong, that's just not how it works. And we're at 11 o'clock.
Yep. So anyway, well, everybody, thank you for watching the show.
Thank you guys.
You know, thank you for hanging in there with us while we were.
Yes.
I thought we were going to be okay using the other software, but obviously we're not. I might just have to just stick with this until we
figure
find a
out
good solution.
Right.
You know, and maybe if we have to go to to a Zoom meeting during one of our
Oh, interesting. Right.
maybe if we go to a Zoom meeting,
For an
if
experiment.
we do like experiments, or if we do like a class type of environment where we do screen shares and you know, we can bring up different softwares and things like that. Maybe we'll do a Zoom meeting for those meetings or those shows.
Yeah, I definitely want to show what we're doing and working on, and show this visually and represent it, and have the evidence to support everything that we're saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, for a show like this, we'll stick with this, but I mean, if we have to go to Zoom, then we'll do that. I'll know if you guys would be okay with that. And then if we do go to Zoom, everybody can be on camera too. So,
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about it. Yeah, it's a really good point.
but
Latency
anyway, yeah, it'll be okay. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for watching. Sam, you're going to want to go back and watch the playback.
Not the first hour. Don't watch where we're trying to figure out.
No, you got to watch when I show off the new box.
Bye, Vitrina. Thank you.
And maybe soon there'll be a new litter box coming.
From spectral analysis of ghost boxes to the litter box.
So Sam, this is a little taste of what you missed.
Experimentation.
So anyway,
that's legit.
It's legit. And what did you think of the new box?
Do some real crazy fucking shit, bro. Like a whole different realm of thought.
It is a whole different level. That's right. This show's gone to a whole different level. I don't know if it's up or down, but it's gone to a whole nother level for sure.
All right. Anyway, well,
thanks
everybody for watching, and have a good week.
See you next week. Be well.